Okay, so let's just go right into Nectar of Devotion. Tonight we're starting a new chapter, Nectar of Devotion by Srila Rūpa Gosvāmī. And this is chapter 18, the character of one in ecstatic love. The previous chapter we talked about spontaneous devotion, and then we talked about the stage of ecstatic love. So now what is the character of a devotee who has attained this stage, the perfectional stage of ecstatic love? Rūpa Gosvāmī next describes the characteristics of a person who has actually developed his ecstatic love for Kṛṣṇa. The characteristics are as follows. 1. He is always anxious to utilize his time in the devotional service of the Lord. He does not like to be idle. He wants service always, 24 hours a day, without deviation. 2. He is always reserved and perseverant. 3. He is always detached from all material attraction. 4. He does not long for any material respect in return for his activities. 5. He is always certain that Kṛṣṇa will bestow his mercy upon him. 6. He is always very eager to serve the Lord faithfully. 7. He is very much attached to the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. 8. He is always eager to describe the transcendental qualities of the Lord. And 9. He is very pleased to live in a place where the Lord's pastimes are performed. That is, Mathura, Vrindavan, or Dwarka. So now, Rūpa Gosvāmī will describe these qualities one at a time. Utilization of time. An unalloyed devotee who has developed ecstatic love for Kṛṣṇa is always engaging his words in reciting prayers to the Lord. Within the mind, he is always thinking of Kṛṣṇa, and with his body, he either offers obeisances by bowing down before the deity or engages in some other service. During these ecstatic activities, he sometimes sheds tears. In this way, his whole life is engaged in the service of the Lord, with not a moment wasted on any other engagement. So let's talk about that. This description sounds like it was taken from that wonderful passage about Maharaj Ambarish. How he always engaged his body in going to the temple of the Lord, bowing down before the deity, touching the other devotees, or doing some work, some service related to Kṛṣṇa. So this is the activity of a devotee. The devotee is always utilizing his time very efficiently in the service of the Lord. He doesn't like to be idle. He doesn't like to be lazy. In fact, he doesn't. He wishes that he didn't have to sleep, that he didn't have to eat or rest or take care of the body, because these things mean that he has to interrupt his direct service to Kṛṣṇa and do something else, something unrelated. So the devotee is always busy. And we see, like, Srila Prabhupada was incredible. He slept very little. He only slept like sometimes 2.5, 3 hours a night. The rest of the time he was always busy translating books and doing so many services, preaching, traveling. He was constantly busy, never a moment idle. So this is the mood of the devotee of the Lord, because he's getting transcendental pleasure from his service, his ecstatic love of Kṛṣṇa. So he doesn't want to stop, even for a moment. When we're getting pleasure from some activity, we don't want to stop. Like if there's a young child playing with companions, some kind of game, and then it's time for dinner. The child doesn't want to stop playing and come in. It's like, no, I want to keep playing with my friends, because it's pleasure. So similarly, the mature devotional service of the devotee gives him tremendous ecstatic pleasure. And he likes nothing more than doing things that he knows is going to give pleasure to his Lord. And when Krishna is pleased, we're automatically pleased. You see, that's the secret of devotional service. If you want to be happy, make Krishna happy. And when Krishna is happy, we're automatically happy. And we don't require any particular, any separate, I think the bulb is loose. We don't require any separate endeavor to make our snotic plug the bulb. Try screwing in the bulb. To humor an old man, you know.
I can't touch it.
Use your blanket.
Remove the other.
Okay. So he doesn't like to be idle for a moment. He doesn't want to be lazy, and he doesn't need, factually does not need any other source of pleasure, because his devotional service gives him all the pleasure, all the happiness that he could want and more. So that's the mood of the devotee and how he utilizes his time. The next section is about perseverance. When a person is undisturbed, even in the presence of various causes of disturbance, he is called reserved and perseverant. An example of this perseverance and reservation is found in the behavior of King Parikshit, as described in the first canto, 19th chapter, verse 15 of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. The king says there to all the sages present before him at the time of his death, "My dear Brahmanas, you should always accept me as your surrendered servant. I have come to the bank of the Ganges just to devote my heart and soul unto the lotus feet of Lord Kṛṣṇa. So please bless me, that Mother Ganges may also be pleased with me. Let the curse of the Brahmana's son fall upon me. I do not mind. I only request that at the last moment of my life, all of you will kindly chant the holy name of Vishnu, so that I may realize his transcendental qualities." This example of Maharaj Parikshit's behavior, his remaining patient even at the last point of his life, his undisturbed condition of mind, is an example of reservation. This is one of the characteristics of a devotee who has developed ecstatic love for Krishna. A good example of perseverance would be Arjuna. Arjuna was harassed and attacked by his cousin brothers, the Kauravas, the 100 sons of Dhritarashtra. They gave him no peace, him and his brothers, for basically for 100 years. Talk about a family feud. This conflict between the Kauravas and the Pandavas, it seems like it just went on and on and on and on. And they would think they just had everything resolved, and then a new calamity would happen. And like that, it was going on and on. But Arjuna and his brothers never gave up. They knew they had the friendship and the support of Lord Kṛṣṇa. They knew that Dharma was on their side, so they persevered. Perseverance means that, well, for example, in my own life, even though all my god brothers tried to discourage me, even though my family cheated me in so many ways, and so many nasty things happened, that I never gave up. There were times when I couldn't make any direct advancement, or it seemed like I couldn't do any nice service. But because I kept the instructions of Srila Prabhupada firmly within my heart, and I resolved that as soon as I get a chance, I'm going to execute them. Therefore, in the long run, by persevering over a long period of time, I was able to be a little successful anyway. Detachment. The senses are always desiring sense enjoyment. But when a devotee develops transcendental love for Krishna, his senses are no longer attracted by material desires. This state of mind is called detachment. There's a nice example of this detachment in connection with the character of King Bharata. In the 5th canto, 14th chapter, verse 43 of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, it is stated, Emperor Bharata was so attracted by the beauty of the lotus feet of Kṛṣṇa that even in his youthful life he gave up all kinds of attachments to family, children, friends, kingdom, etc., as though they were untouchable stool. Just try to imagine. So the devotee, he doesn't feel any attraction to this material sense gratification. Well, for one thing, like I mentioned, he has a source of pleasure, a superior source of pleasure in spiritual life, in his ecstatic love of the Lord. So why should he pursue material pleasure,